Imagine helping create one of the most powerful technologies in human history and knowing it could change everything. Today, millions use artificial intelligence without ever thinking about the people behind it. But one name keeps appearing at the center of the story: Sam Altman, a quiet entrepreneur who went from startup founder to one of the most influential figures in technology. Some call him a visionary. Others see him as a risk-taker standing at the edge of the unknown. But how did he get here? How did a curious kid become one of the faces of the AI revolution? The answer is far more surprising than most people realize. Because before the headlines, before the billion-dollar decisions, and before the world knew his name, there was a completely different story. And it begins much earlier than you think. Sam Altman was born in Chicago and grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. From an early age, he seemed fascinated by how things worked. While many children were focused on games and toys, Sam was drawn to computers. At just 8 years old, he received his first computer and something clicked. A machine became a doorway into ideas, possibilities, and futures that only existed in his imagination. Hours disappeared as he explored technology, learning not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He wasn't chasing fame. He wasn't trying to become rich. He was simply curious. But curiosity can be a powerful force, and sometimes it becomes the first step toward changing the world. The question was, where would that curiosity lead him? As Sam grew older, his fascination with technology only became stronger. While other teenagers were still figuring out what they wanted to do, he was already imagining what the future could look like. He spent countless hours learning, experimenting, and building. The world of software felt limitless. Every new skill opened another door. Every question led to 10 more. Eventually, his ambition carried him to Stanford University, one of the most respected institutions in the world. It looked like the perfect path, a clear road toward success. But sometimes, the most important decisions are the ones that make the least sense to everyone else. Because before long, Sam would make a choice that many considered a huge mistake. Like many ambitious founders before him, Sam Altman faced a difficult choice. Stay in school or chase an uncertain dream. He chose the dream. Leaving Stanford was risky. There were no guarantees, no roadmap, no promise that things would work out. But Sam believed that building something real mattered more than following a traditional path. He co-founded a startup called Looped, hoping to create a location-based social platform long before smartphones dominated daily life. The idea was ambitious. The technology was new, and the challenges were everywhere. Funding was difficult. Growth was uncertain. The future looked blurry. Yet he kept moving forward, because sometimes success doesn't begin with winning. Sometimes it begins with refusing to quit. But was determination enough to survive what came next? Building a company sounds exciting from the outside, but behind every startup are sleepless nights, uncertainty, and constant pressure. Looped survived, but it never became the massive success many hoped for. Sam Altman spent years solving problems, raising money, convincing investors, and adapting to a market that was changing faster than anyone expected. There were moments when giving up would have been easier, moments when the dream seemed smaller than the obstacles standing in front of it. Eventually, Looped was acquired. To many people, it looked like a successful exit, and technically it was. But Sam wasn't interested in celebrating the past. He was already thinking about the future, because the biggest opportunity of his life was about to appear, and it would change everything. That opportunity was Y Combinator. At the time, it was already one of the most influential startup accelerators in the world. Some of the biggest companies of the modern era had passed through its doors. Sam joined the organization and quickly earned a reputation for spotting talent and thinking far beyond the present moment. He wasn't just helping startups grow, he was studying how innovation happens. What separates winners from everyone else? Why do some ideas change the world while others disappear? Eventually, he became president of Y Combinator. Suddenly, he wasn't building one company, he was helping shape hundreds. But while most people were focused on the next startup, Sam's attention was drifting towards something far bigger, something that could transform civilization itself. For decades, artificial intelligence had existed mostly as a promise. Researchers believed in its potential, but progress often moved slowly. Then something began to change. Computing power improved. Data exploded. Breakthroughs arrived faster and faster. Sam Altman saw what many others missed. He believed AI could become one of the most important technologies ever created. Not just another product, not just another industry, a force capable of reshaping nearly every part of human life. In 2015, he became one of the co-founders of OpenAI, an organization created with a bold mission to develop advanced artificial intelligence that could benefit humanity. It sounded ambitious, maybe even impossible. But history is often written by people willing to pursue impossible ideas. The question was, how far could this technology really go? OpenAI was not built in the spotlight. In the beginning, much of the work happened quietly. Teams of researchers spent years solving difficult problems, pushing the boundaries of machine learning, and chasing breakthroughs that often seemed just out of reach. Then, little by little, the world started paying attention. New models appeared, capabilities improved, the pace accelerated, and then came a moment that changed public perception forever. Millions of people suddenly experienced advanced AI for themselves. What once felt like science fiction was now sitting on phones, laptops, and office desks around the world. Sam Altman had spent years preparing for this future, but even he understood that the real story was only beginning. Because when a technology becomes powerful enough to change the world, entirely new questions begin to emerge. And then came the moment that changed everything. ChatGPT exploded onto the global stage. Within months, millions of people were using artificial intelligence in ways that had once seemed impossible. Students, entrepreneurs, scientists, artists, and entire businesses suddenly found themselves interacting with technology that felt remarkably human. The world was fascinated. Investors rushed in. Governments paid attention. And Sam Altman became one of the most recognizable faces in technology. But success at this scale creates a new kind of pressure. The bigger the breakthrough, the bigger the responsibility, because now the question was no longer whether AI would change the world. The question was how, and who would guide that transformation. As artificial intelligence became more capable, the conversations around it became more serious. People began asking difficult questions. Could AI create incredible opportunities? Almost certainly. Could it also create risks? Possibly. Sam Altman found himself at the center of debates involving technology, ethics, economics, education, and the future of work. Around the world, leaders wanted answers. Businesses wanted direction. Researchers wanted progress. The challenge was no longer building powerful systems. The challenge was building them responsibly. Every major technological revolution in history brought both promise and uncertainty. AI would be no different. And as the stakes continued to rise, so did the weight of every decision. By this point, Sam Altman had become far more than a startup founder. He was helping shape conversations about the future of humanity's relationship with technology. His journey had taken him from a curious child with a computer to a leader, influencing one of the most important technological shifts of the modern age. Yet the story was never really about fame, titles, or headlines. It was about vision, the willingness to think years ahead when others are focused on today, the courage to pursue uncertain ideas, and the discipline to keep moving forward through doubt, criticism, and risk. But perhaps the most important lesson was still waiting at the very end. The story of Sam Altman is not really a story about artificial intelligence. It is a story about curiosity, about asking questions that others ignore, about seeing possibilities where others see limitations. The future is rarely built by people who wait for certainty. It is built by people willing to explore the unknown. Whether you admire his vision, question his ideas, or simply find the journey fascinating, one thing is clear. The world we are entering will be shaped by bold thinkers, difficult decisions, and technologies that challenge us to rethink what is possible. And perhaps the most important question is not what AI will become, but what we will become alongside it. Thank you for watching Flight of Genius. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and join us for more journeys into the lives of extraordinary innovators. And now, we'd love to hear from you. What do you think will be the biggest impact of artificial intelligence on our future?